Alright, guys, we're going to talk about the movie Longlegs. I just watched it. This is going to be a non-spoiler review. If I do talk about any spoilers, though, it's going to be at the very, very end, and I'll give fair warning. I promise. Now, I kind of was late to the party hearing about this movie, but I quickly checked out the trailer and was very intrigued. And I did a trailer reaction. You can watch that. You can watch my kind of first initial response to what this movie really was. So I was very excited going in. The only thing that I didn't love, which is what everyone is saying about this movie, is that they're comparing it to The Silence of the Lambs, which I love. It is a classic to me and many others, I think. But I want this film to be its own, and I feel like you shouldn't be leaning on a good film like that to sell your own film. I mean, it makes sense when you're kind of explaining that to the cast and crew when you're making a movie to kind of help them get a sense of what the director's trying to go for, the writer. But in terms of actually selling it to audiences, it feels cheap. And I actually watched an interview recently with the director, and he's the one who actually kind of planted this seed, and he was telling people that on purpose to try to get them in the mood, which okay, bud. That whole interview was kind of weird. It was the Collider interview, and even though I thought the movie was pretty good, I didn't love his responses, and I didn't think I didn't love his answers. You should watch that interview if you're really interested. But going in, I was a big fan of Maika Monroe. She was in the film It Follows, which was another one of my favorites. Great modern horror film. I think it came out in 2014. Nicolas Cage, one of my favorite actors of all time. He's incredible, and this was certainly one of his most memorable roles in a good way. I also want to talk a little bit more about Osgood Perkins, who wrote and directed the film. He did go on to say, though, that he doesn't like modern movies, and he specifically referenced X, Pearl, and Maxine, and that he was not planning to watch Maxine, and that he was kind of forced to watch X. It's kind of weird, but okay. I feel like he must have been a fan of It Follows, maybe not, to have cast Maika Monroe, who's very much a modern actor. I don't know. Or it could have entirely just been a casting director choice who was like, hey, this girl's really good. She auditioned. Check out the tape. And maybe later he found out, about It Follows. I'm not sure. I'd be curious. Just kind of based on his comment about not liking modern horror or modern movies too much. Not sure. But let me know what you guys thought. There is one interesting thing about Osgood Perkins, though, is that he is a Nepo baby. His father is Anthony Perkins, who famously played Norman Bates in Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho, which has just gone on to be a huge success in pop culture, and yeah, it's a big role, big deal, hugely impactful on the horror genre was Hitchcock, and specifically his film Psycho. So it's very interesting to kind of see his son of the actor Anthony Perkins, come out and write and direct a film like this. I think that definitely was a selling point. I don't think you even needed to say the Silence of the Lambs thing. In fact, I think that would have been a more interesting selling point to kind of put in the trailers, which they didn't. All they wanted to put in there was the Silence of the Lambs thing. But I guess maybe you don't want to promote the whole Nepo baby thing. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Let me know what you guys think. From the trailer, though, I could immediately tell it was beautifully shot, and that was another intriguing aspect for me. In fact, I want to find out actually. Two, three. Yeah, really cool. It was super anamorphic feeling. The lenses, I don't know exactly what they did. I'll try to find out and I'll put it in the comments. But it's such a beautifully shot horror thriller, crime drama. Some of the things I did know going into the film was that Osgood Perkins said that the film was about his mother. And Nicolas Cage, when he heard that, was like, well, that's funny you mentioned that, because I very much felt this was about my mother. And he felt like he kept hearing his mother's voice when he was reading the script for Longlegs. And he kind of channeled his mother into this character, which I thought was interesting. He mentioned that he channeled his father for when he played Dracula, and he very funnily said, "How what does that say about my childhood?" But very interesting. It clearly paid off, in my opinion. I mean, I think his performance is certainly one of the most memorable things from this movie. On top of the cinematography and the locations, the ends of the sets, it's all really slick and perfect for this movie. And Maika Monroe is terrific, as I would expect her to be. I think it was definitely her best performance, as well as I don't know about Nicolas Cage, but it was definitely up there. He's just done a lot more than Maika Monroe, and has many more things for me to choose from. I can't pick one. But I do think the whole, okay, a female FBI agent tracking down a serial killer, okay, I get it. It's very similar to Silence of the Lambs, but there's many other things like it, and this could be any crime thing that happens in everyday life, murders, serial killers, women who are FBI agents. That's a very common thing, sadly, on the serial killer side. I wish that wasn't a common thing, but you know what I mean. I get it. Still makes for a very good story, and the way they did it was very much their own. I don't think they needed to even say the whole Silence of the Lambs thing. I know I've said that before, but it should stand on its own long legs. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't need the lamb's legs. But very much a good film on its own. I loved it. I think some of the hype around it was built up a little too much. Just a little bit. It wasn't perfect. I think there were definitely some issues where I maybe questioned some things the characters did. But hey, we kind of do that with every movie, right? I don't want to nitpick too much because, kind of based on other films that are out and that we've been getting the last year or so, this does stand out still to me, and it does feel like a very original horror film, or thriller, just something in that kind of scary, suspenseful genre. I kind of encompass it all. It's a mix of things. But great movie. I really enjoyed it. I just think that the hype is can ruin some things that are truly very good. So I think that's my general rule for anything usually, is to don't keep your expectations too high, because then you're creating too much room for disappointment. And the lower you keep them, the more room you have for being surprised and excited. And I think I got caught up a little bit with the hype, but not too much. I was still able to really enjoy this movie for what it was. The interview I watched with Osgood Perkins, though, right after watching the movie, did kill it a little bit for me. I didn't love his answers. It was a Collider interview. Check it out. You'll see what I mean. Please let me know what you guys thought down below of Longlegs. I'd love to hear what you guys think. Do I want to talk about any spoilers now that I'm at the end of my review? I don't know. I think you should just watch that Collider interview, because it is spoiler filled. So they talk about the ending, and when the lady asks him kind of what the ending means, he gives such a shit answer. It's such a, like, I don't give a fuck. Like, it was his care sometimes. I didn't like his attitude. But again, hey, that's just me. But check it out for yourselves. I'd be curious to hear what you guys think. But again, I still recommend this movie. I really enjoyed it. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you have a wonderful day. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks again.